like yeah, so Ganebo, so all these companies actually I worked, and after that in 2016 actually I shifted to Mumbai, and like after that I worked in Schneider Electric, and then like now I am in Train Technology. So I am heading the India and SAARC business for the BMS operation. So we call it in our language control stream. So today, actually, this is my brief introduction, and I'm by education, I'm an electronics telecom engineer and MBA from IIT Kharagpur, and almost now 16 years of work experience in sales, service, operations, key account management, then business development, all these kind of things. Actually, I have handled in these 16 years of work life. Now not only me, actually complete train technical team is here today with me. So from my team, actually Jilani Pasha is there, who is actually HVAC stalwart, and he is based in actually Bangalore, and he takes care of the south part of business for train technology for this controls division. I have Dhruv Joshi with me. So Dhruv actually is taking care of east and north and SAARC part of business for train technology for BMS and this chiller plant manager. And I have Lalit Khajuria, who is a very experienced operation guy in my team actually. So he takes care of the operation part and execution and service part of the, which is very important actually. After receiving the order, actually he takes care of complete operation execution and then service part of the business, and for east, north and SAARC. So complete team is there today. So if you have any questions, we will be having question answer session after my presentation. So I will run through the presentation, and then you are free to ask any question. We all are here to answer your questions.
Sure.
Am I audible clearly? Just tell me yes or no.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
You can start.
So prior to starting, actually, 1 minute, it has hanged now. Yeah. So why chiller plant manager? To start this, actually, prior to that, actually, I would like to say 2-3 words about chiller. I know all stalwarts have joined in the meeting from consultant, from HVAC background, from consulting background and customers. So then also I will actually want to touch up on this point actually. What is a chiller? So this is a mechanical device that takes the heat, which is we measure in BTU from one medium, that is, it may be water or it may be refrigerant, and it transfer it to the another medium. So it may be the another medium, may be water, maybe air, or maybe any refrigerant. So that is a chiller, but it is actually seems to be very simple. But this is not at all simple. To run the chiller actually properly and to get the desired temperature, along with that actually getting the optimized efficiency, and at the same time with the lowest possible electricity cost. So actually matching all these dots are very difficult. So that's why all these dots will be connected now with this chiller plant manager. So chiller plant is actually a combination. It's a very complex subject. So it is a combination of all different kind of subjects, like mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, electronics engineering, chemical engineering. I'm sure people are here from all the backgrounds are here. So how it is connected with all these kind of streams of engineering? So yes, we know that thermodynamics actually is a very important part of this HVAC business. So how does this actually thermodynamics works here? So like we are actually transferring the heat from one medium to another medium, right? So it may be like office space, like comfort air to chilled water, and then chilled water to external environment, or maybe vice versa. So we are doing this. So this is actually thermodynamics. Fluid mechanics, definitely according to the height of the building, the flow has to be maintained properly. Water flow has to be maintained properly, which is very, very crucial. So there is coming the fluid dynamics. Then vibrations. So the design factor for the plant room and the building has to be actually designed in such a way that it will be able to actually carry the load of the complete chiller plant manager, complete actually HVAC system. And when it should also be able to carry out the vibrations, and the load bearing capacity of the building also should be proper. And yes, definitely you all know that there, along with this refrigerant chemical treatment plants, harmonics, all these things will be coming. Harmonics means losses, heating, all these things will be coming. And there are many more things. So it is a very complex subject. So I will try to actually simplify this as possible, from my side. And if you have any questions, you can ask after my presentation. So now, I will go to the system-wise energy consumption. So in a building, how the energy is consumed. You'll be surprised to see actually that 70% of electricity bill is actually consumed by the HVAC system. 15% is consumed by lighting, 5% is consumed by plumbing, and 10% all others. All others means escalator, elevator, you have coffee machines in the office. So all these things actually are taking of 10%. So maximum is 70% is taken actually by your HVAC system. So in this 70%, how it is actually divided. So chiller plant takes most of the energy, that is 65%. Then HU takes 25%. So, and fan takes actually 10%. So this is the major consumption. So what is I told that what is actually our aim? Everybody's aim is what? Customers' aim, our aim, consultants' aim is what? So we need to automate these complete things properly so that it can run on maximum efficiency and with minimum loss and with optimized power consumption. And at the same time, systems life also should be increased. It should not be failing all the time. System lifetime also, because this is a very costly system. The system lifetimes also has to be very, very high. So all these dots actually will be connected by chiller plant control. So what is the answer? Answer is chiller plant manager, or like simpler way you can say chiller plant control. This is actually chiller plant manager is a trademark of Trane, or like you can say, we call it in Trane technology chiller plant manager. You can call it chiller plant control also. So what does it do? So this is a like simple diagram. I'll just use the pointer here. Just give me a moment. Yeah, so like in this is a basic diagram. So these are the primary pumps, these are the secondary pumps, then you have the condenser pumps, then you have actually cooling tower, and you have the chillers. So, and this side actually secondary pumps, this side you have like FCU and all, AHU, FCU and all other thing, all other systems are here. So like this is, you can understand that this is a very complex system. So suppose if like no automation is there, then what is going to be the situation? So either like old age, they like old age, like all the chillers will be starting together. It will be running all the time 100% load, or like all the cooling towers will be starting together, and then they also will be running continuously, and then there is no automation. So it is completely manual. So what will be happening? Then you will get a havoc electricity bill at the end of the month, which is actually will be going beyond the budget. So to actually automate this thing, what this pump vendor does actually, who actually the manufacturer of pump, what they does, they put PLCs over along with the pumps. So these PLCs, we will be getting all the data, and that actually can be integrated with the building BMS system. But building BMS system has a limitations. Building BMS system can only monitor or like on off. These two actions can be done through building BMS system. It cannot control the system. It cannot control these pumps, these chillers, or like these cooling towers, nothing. Controlling is not possible at all, or regulating, modulating, nothing is possible. So again, your problem is not getting solved. So then this chiller plant manager came into picture. So how does it work? So there are, you can see like this is the primary pump side. So we are putting DDCs over there, DDC controllers. These are the controllers. In a simpler way, I will see. We are putting controller over here along with 1 minute. Just 1 minute. Yes. So we are putting controller over here along with the primary pumps side, along with sensor, valves, or etc. Similarly, like we are putting DDCs in the secondary pumps along with sensor, valves, etc. And after that, we are putting controller, sensor and valves along with DDCs with the cooling tower also, at the cooling tower side also. So now all these three systems are controlled. I can control through these DDCs now, but these are now individually controlled. But then like if I have to control the complete system, what I have to do, I will be now putting one master controller with like licenses. Definitely you all understand, you are from the definitely like either HVAC background or like IBMS background. So you know, like licenses, how many licenses, whatever licenses you want, how many licenses, number of licenses you want, that can be provided. So this is like, this master controller is actually getting the data from all the DDCs, and it actually giving the logic, or it is having an inbuilt logic so that it can actually perform, or it can actually control all the systems together. It will be giving the directions to the all DDC how it has to be worked. So it will give the primary side DDC that yes, you have to actually increase something or decrease something. It will give the logic to the cooling tower sensor valves that yes, you increase or decrease the capacity, and similar way like for the secondary pumps side also. So that way, like this is like completely an integrated system. So this master controller will be actually controlling all the DDCs. Now coming to the second part, yes, we are. So this I actually described. So now this can be actually having a very user-friendly graphic software. So I will be talking about this, what all we can do in this graphic software, how it looks like. I will be discussing on in the later side of my slides. Then like we have building BMS, so it can be connected in the building BMS also. So building BMS, you can see all the parameters, whatever is here in the master controller, you can actually visualize all the parameters over here, but definitely you cannot control it, as I told. And yes, nowadays we are talking about that we want everything on cloud, we want IoT. So all these things also can be done. So this data can be taken into the web also, or like cloud also. So this is a very, very actually robust system, which will be actually taking care of all these complex systems, and it will be actually automate this complete system properly so that it can run on its highest efficiency, and it can actually occur minimum loss and with optimized power condition. Now, how we are going to achieve this, that I will talk about this in my next slides. So what does a chiller plant control does? So it is like there are many features actually. So in the left side, right side, actually you can see all the features. I'll be talking one by one about all these features. So this feature-rich standard application actually will be answering all your questions. So it will fulfill your process needs. So process needs means what? Like you have to actually deliver the temperature. You have to maintain the temperature at a certain limit all the time, right? So that like in the office space or in an IT space, it should be very comfortable to work. So this process needs, it will be fulfilling. Definitely there will be energy consumption, conservation, and definitely as you are like controlling everything, so that like you will be using all the equipments at like maximum efficient level, so that and when you are using it maximum efficient level, your system life cycle also will be increased. So you are basically actually achieving this connecting all these three dots together with this chiller plant control system. So now second point is that you may be thinking that this is a very, sorry, I think I have missed one point. Yes. So the thing is that this is like, our chiller plant control is actually having a pre-programmed logic which is fed internally. So internal logic is made so that ultimately it will be receiving the chilled water at specific temperature at minimum loss and maximum efficiency. So it has got this inbuilt logic inside, and it has got the pre-programmed solution also inside. So like our HVAC engineer, when he's going for installation and commissioning, he doesn't have to think much. He can actually install and commission it. Only some set points, customer has to guide him accordingly, that he will be setting those set points, and then that will be commissioned. And on another way, like when it is under actually maintenance, that time also facility manager doesn't have to think much, because this is a very user friendly, and all this program are actually pre-programmed into the solution. Pre-programmed into the controller. So nothing has to be, nothing is very critical. It is a very user friendly, very easy to use. So ease of use is very much there. So after this, actually coming the load determination. So 1 minute. Is my screen visible?
Ma'am, visible.
Visible, right?
It is visible.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So it is like now like this chiller plan controller, CPC means chiller plan controller. It is designed, how it is designed. Suppose this is your like HU, room side or like low side, we call it in our language. So it will be, suppose like sometimes you can understand like in the office 10:30, 11 o'clock, like maximum people are there at office, okay, in the morning time. So building load is like highest or optimum actually. So that time actually the CPC will be designed the plant, or running the plant on the full load, or like as much the full load capacity, or maybe like whatever is the load requirement, accordingly that it will be actually modulating the plant capacity. And in the evening time, like after 5:30 or 6 o'clock, like it will be automatically reducing, or maybe any time. This is taking the hypothetical actually timing. It can be any time, like in the afternoon also, if all the people are outside of the office for some meeting or something like that, that time also you do not need all the like chillers, all the pumps to be run continuously. Cooling tower doesn't need to run on full load. So you can reduce all these things by using this CPC. Because all the I have shown in my earlier slide, actually everything has a controller, DDC controller. So accordingly, DDC controller will be giving the signals to the sending the signals to the primary pump side, secondary pump side, as well as like condenser pump side, cooling tower side. So it will be automatically modulating themselves so that maximum optimization can be obtained, but your temperature will not be hampered. Temperature, whatever you have maintained a set point like 24 degree or something like that, that will be maintained there. Or if it is a critical room, like then you have to maintain like lesser than that, that also can be maintained. So it will be running, as I say, like it will be running as few chillers as possible at optimal efficiency. So I'll just go back to the previous slide to make you understand one more thing. Suppose this is my secondary side, okay? So load is actually in this side. So office, whatever, like where we are actually throwing the cold air, so that is in this side. So office, morning time, I'm telling 11 o'clock, that is full load. So that means what? This will be sense that yes, the full load is there. So this secondary pump will be actually running on its full load. Similarly, like primary, you cannot control actually. Primary always will be running on full load. If it is a big system, then like there will be a bypass line. All those things I will be actually describing afterwards. So chillers also will be running on its full load one after another. Cooling tower also will be running in the full load. But like in the afternoon or like any time, if the load is like 20 to 30%, you do not need so much plant and so much pumps or so much chillers to run, right? So then like you will be modulating, say like this primary will be then throwing actually probably 100% to secondary, but secondary is actually throwing 50% of the requirement, because the load has been reduced. Sorry? I will take all the questions after my presentation. Just let me finish this. So like then this CPC has got the capacity of actually switching off or switching off the chillers also if the load is reduced, and cooling tower capacity also will be reduced. And if like load will be increasing in low side, then like chillers also will be one after another, it will be adding up, and it will be actually starting all the chillers, and then cooling tower actually will be operating on maximum loads. So all these kind of facilities are there in the chiller plant manager. So I will be describing how this is done. So this is the actually slide. So add and subtract logic. So what is add logic? In a very simpler way. So add logic means adding more chillers. You are actually switching on more chillers. Subtract logic means very simple language. You are actually in the evening time or in the afternoon time, less load is there. So you are actually switching off one after another chiller. So that means subtracting the chiller. So custom means everybody can understand. If customer wants something customization, suppose I want this particular chiller to run like 220 hours in a year, or I want this particular chiller to run 150 hours in a chiller. So those kind of customization will be done. So yes, how this actually add logic can be. So I will actually go to the next slide. That will be easier to understand. So this is the add example. So, like you have, I have considered here that 5 degrees is the base temperature, and then there is a temperature dead band. So 6.5 degree, actually, I have set a dead band. It can be customized. Customer may want like this 6.5 degree, or maybe lesser than that. It may be set higher than that as per customer's choice. So I have considered here that 6.5 is a add temperature. Dead band is at 6.5 degree. So like chilled water supply temperature, first, if it is comfortable, if your load and load side and your like supply side means this side is actually matching with each other properly, then you have to maintain continuously this 5 degrees temperature on the chilled water supply side. So when suppose your one machine is running, one chiller is running, okay, and associated pumps and other accessories are also running, but now your load has increased, office has got more people, so load has increased now. So what will happen? This will not be able to maintain at 5 degrees centigrade temperature. So it will now increase, it will start increasing. Slowly it will start increasing, and once it will be reaching the dead band, your timer will be starting over here. Then it will be, suppose it is like fluctuating. Suppose it is fluctuating. Okay, it is going there and then again coming back. So again, whenever it is reaches this dead band, you can see 6.5 degree, it is always start the timer. And recording will be started, so that you can also visualize, or you can also see that something is happening in the office, because office may be having more people. That's why in the sitting in the control room, you can see all these things. And then again, like it is fluctuating. So you can see here it is fluctuating. Whenever it is starting this 6.5 degree band, it is actually starting the timer. But it has not yet started another chiller. Okay, so when it will be starting another chiller, if this 6.5 degree chilled water temperature, supply temperature is at 6.5 degree continuously for 10 minutes. There is a delay of 10 minutes. This delay, actually, I am giving this an example. Customer can customize this. This can be done as per their choice. This can be 15 minutes or 5 minutes or 7 minutes as per their customer choice. So if there is a delay of 10 minutes, controller is reading that, DTC controller reading that, the chilled water supply temperature is at 6.5 degree for 10 minutes. Then here, actually, after 10 minutes, it will start another chiller. It will add another chiller. So that's why it called add logic. So by doing this, what is happening? So now after you switching on another chiller, then again temperature will be reducing to the 5 degree, and it will be gradually going on. Then again, if suppose more load is increasing on the load side, then again the similar phenomena will be happening, and one more chiller will be added. So it will go on accordingly. So by doing this, what you are actually achieving? So this is actually prevents unnecessary cycling. So this is one thing. And major important thing is that you are actually saving your electricity cost. All the chillers are not running. Chillers are running. Chillers, and definitely one chiller is switching on, accessories are also switching on, pumps are switching on, condenser pump is switching on, chiller cooling tower is getting loaded more. So all these things are actually, you can see down, the process needs is meeting, and energy consumption are also you are actually achieving at the same time. So now subtract logic in the afternoon time or in the evening time, when like people have started leaving office. So then what will happen? So this is my 5 degree centigrade, like my set band, and this is a lower temperature, 2.8 degree. I have set a dead band. This is again like customizable as per customer choice. We can set it at any point actually. So what will be happening now? So you can see that chilled water delta temperature. Now in the office, there are less people. So definitely you will feel more cold. So this is a normal phenomenon, right? You feel more cold in the evening time or in the afternoon time when lesser people are there. Then what will happen? So like this chilled water delta temperature will be reducing, actually, will be decreasing. This delta T will be reducing, and when it will be again reaching this dead band, actually, wherever I have set it, here I have set it at 2.8 degree. So it will again start the timer. Again, it is fluctuating. First, it will not be stabilized always, it will be fluctuating. So whenever it is reaching this 2.8 degree, so it will start the timer, and you can visualize that sitting at your control room. So when it will be actually subtracting one more chiller or switching off one chiller, so your controller can see actually that 20 minutes, the delta T is actually at 2.8 degree. So that means the load, I have to reduce, my load has been reduced, so I have to cut off chiller. So then it will be switching off one chiller. Again, like it will be switching off when it will be switching off one chiller, then automatically the temperature will start increasing and it will be again setting up at 5 degrees. And then again, like if like more people will be now going from the office, then again the similar phenomena will happen. And after like 20 minutes of delay, again one chiller and accessories will be cutting off. So by doing, again, you are actually meeting the process needs. Your load side is never hampered actually. I mean, you are always supplying the temperature. I mean, room temperature always you are keeping at 24 degree or whatever like set point you have set. And at the same time, you are actually conserving the energy also. So this is definitely prevents unnecessary cycling. You can understand that very well. So, but major thing is that process needs is meeting and energy conservation is also there. So now I'm going to the sequencing and rotation. So what is that? So normal means like you have identical chiller, right? You have started a new building and you have purchased like new chillers. So all chillers are like identical chiller. Identical chiller means all the efficiency wise all are identical. I mean to say. So this is a normal condition. So that is that normal condition. These are the pre-programmed sequencing modes are available in the CPC. So normal modes, yes, normal mode like all the chillers can actually, I mean, gradually it can increase the load and every chiller is having the same efficiency. So there is no problem. So normal mode is there. You can set it in normal mode. All the chillers will be running like normally and equally. More importantly, equally. Now, what is the base thing? There is a mode called base. Suppose you have you have an old building, okay, and now you are renovating it. So some chillers you have old, some you are putting new, okay. So then like whatever the old chillers are there, their efficiency will be less, and whatever the new chillers are, their efficiency will be very high. So base mode actually you will be first starting the super efficient chiller, and then a super efficient chiller will be actually running, and if needed at the peak load actually your like inefficient or like old chillers will be starting. So that is called base mode. And in the peak mode, like what is happening, all the backup. Peak mode means like when the load is at peak, you know, these are all load condition, like the base load. I mean that means load is less, or like base level, it is at base level. So although super efficient chiller will be working. Now you have reached like 10:30, 11 o'clock. So it is a peak mode in the office. So the chiller actually all the like backup chillers also has to be switched on. So now this backup chiller will be switched on. If you don't have backup chillers, suppose you have alternate energy source. Alternate energy source means what? You have thermal storage, you have cold storage. All these things also can be integrated with the CPC, and those can be actually run during the peak load condition. So all these inefficient items, we are calling this inefficient because we have new chillers which are actually super efficient. So all these inefficient backup source all will be now starting at the peak load condition. And what is swing now? Swing is like match the load. It is nothing like that. Swing I'll be actually telling you in the next slides. And so you'll be understanding in a better way. Swing is like mix and match kind of thing. So like what is custom? So custom means one customer is selling like, no, I have 4 chillers, 4 are similar efficiency, but I want every chiller to run at 250 hours only in 6 months or in 3 months, something like that kind of. This is just a hypothetical example. So what that will do? So 4 chillers, so it will mix and match. Suppose it will run in such a way, CPC will run each chiller in such a way that after like dedicated or stipulated time frame, every chiller will be actually running the equal time frame. Suppose it should not be like that one chiller is running only 50 hours, another is running 250 hours, another is running 150 hours. It should not be like that. It will be actually synchronizing all the chillers and switching on off in such a manner that every chiller will be actually running equal time what customer has actually suggested or consultant has suggested. So this is called custom. So this also can be done. So these 4 pre-programmed sequencing mode is always available in the chiller plant control. So by doing this, you are achieving actually all the 4. Process needs is definitely you are achieving. This is the primary goal. Energy conservation, this is primary. Another primary goal, this is also you are meeting. Life cycle, definitely you are actually saving. So inefficient chillers you are not switching on. That means its life cycle is increasing. Super efficient chiller you are switching on. So you know that is also life cycle you are maintaining. And ease of use, definitely like as you are using chiller plant control, you don't have to think like what I have. This have got pre-programmed solutions. So only you have to monitor that whether it is working properly or not. That's all. So now next coming, I told the swinging, I will be making you understand. So this is actually swinging. So sequencing, we call it another language. So suppose this is an example. So one building maximum load is 1200 TR. So you have 3 chillers. Okay, so one 200 ton, one 500 ton, another 500. When you are switching on first time, so it will first switch on the, sorry, 1 minute. It will first switch on the 200 TR chiller. Because you know why? Because this is the smallest capacity, and when your office is getting started, that time also minimum number of people will be there, and gradually it increases, right? So now like 200 ton chiller is running is full load, and it has reached at 200 TR. And you all know that like chiller will be giving you maximum efficiency if it is running at full load. So actually this is this sequencing is done in such a way that every chiller will be running at it is at most efficient level, that is at 100% load, or like whatever is a cutoff load consultant will be setting, so that load. So 200 ton chiller, it is running on 100% load, so you have reached now 200 TR. Now the load is increasing, so you have to switch on another chiller. But till 500 you can actually manage with one chiller. So when this 500 ton chiller will be switched on, this 200 ton will be switched off, so that like your unnecessary will not be having extra electricity bill. So up till this 500 TR, this one chiller will be working. And after this, if the load is increasing, then again this 200 chiller will be switched on, until 700 TR, these 2 chillers will be working on full load. And after this, like if the load is increasing more, then what will happen? It will be again switched off this 200 ton chiller, and these 2 500 ton chiller will be working together. So by using these 2 chillers, actually it will be reaching at 1000 ton. Okay. And after this, if the load is increasing, then like all the 3 chillers will be now switched on till 1200 ton. So like why this smaller chiller? This is a like very intelligent design. So why the smaller chiller has been used? The smaller chiller has been used to match the flow capacity, so that you can meet actually everything down: process needs, energy conservation, life cycle, ease of use. All the 4 parameters you are actually meeting here. So this we can call sequencing or swinging. I hope that I'm easy to understand actually, or if I'm going very fast, you can actually tell me.
Yeah, Debashri, you please just let us slow down so that we can understand this easily.
Okay. So should I actually repeat this slide one more time?
That's okay, but little slow.
Okay. Sure, Sujan. Okay, so sequencing, I have told, we can call it swing also. So this is one mode which is pre-programmed in CPC. So now I'm going to the next thing. What is rotation? So rotation is very easy actually. I told like customer is having 4 number of chillers. He wants to run particular chiller for 200 hours, particular chiller for 150 hours, or all the chillers for 200 hours. So that kind of thing. So calendaring we call it. So we can do this calendaring. So from this period to this period, chiller 1 will be running. From this period to that period, chiller 2 will be running. So that is called actually rotationing. And then runtime, this is again like similar kind of how much actually one chiller will be running. So that is called runtime. And then your manual operation decision. So sometimes you do not want in automatic mode, right? You want to override it by manual operator decision, because you have an operator sitting at over there also. So that also or like some problem has happened, then you can actually overrule the automatic thing and you can actually run on manual operation. So that also can be done. And definitely other system inputs means all the accessories, pump side, then cooling tower side, all the system inputs, that also can be sequenced properly by using this chiller plant control as per customer's advice, definitely. So what is the aim actually? So that all chillers can be used equally. I told you that one chiller actually is giving maximum efficiency when it is actually running on full load. So it should not be like that. Both 3 chillers are running and all are at 30% load. So that will be a wastage of power. So ultimate motto is that all chillers can be used equally, and whatever customer wants from here, all this can be actually programmed in the CPC. So now one more thing is that soft load. So I will actually, I want you all to understand what is this. This is a very important feature of soft load and unload, very important feature of chiller plant control. So what is soft load? So if you have like 9 to 6 kind of operation and you have to switch off everything in the night when you are going back to home, facility manager switches off everything and goes back. And in the next morning, he comes at 8 o'clock and he has to start the operation so that like people will be coming to office from 8:30 or 9 o'clock. So he has to be ready. So if like complete system is switched off, then what is happened? So header temperature and system chilled water temperature, both these temperature will be actually reaching to the ambient. Okay. So ambient here I can consider like 25, 24 degree, whatever like that. So it will be reaching to the almost equal or maybe reaching to the ambient temperature. Then he is switching on one chiller. Then what will happen? So when first he is switching on the system, it will try to run only one chiller and monitor the rate of change of temperature. Okay, so you are switching on the chiller. That means like air will be cooled now, right? So how fast it is getting system chilled water supply temperature, how fast it is getting cooled. So if it is very fast, it will not allow to start another chiller. It will wait until the rate of change of temperature at header level stabilizes at set point. Suppose here is my set point. I told you that my set point I have considered always 6 degree and dead band is 7.5 degree, upper dead band. Okay. So like until this 7.5 degree, okay, it will not start any one chiller. It will start only one chiller will be working, and after 7.5 degree, it will be actually running into normal operation mode, and then at 6 degree it will be stabilized. So until it gets stabilizes, one chiller is getting stabilized, it will not start any other chiller. Hope I'm clear. If it is not clear, I can repeat it once again. Okay, that means I'm clear. So after 6 degree, after reaching 6 degree, so it is now it will be on the set point and it will be running continuously. And now I have make you all understand the add logic. So when like in the office part, like more people will be there, occupancy is increasing, load will be increasing. Then from 6 degree, it will again start increasing to 7.5 degree. And in the 7.5 degree, it will be fluctuating for some time. And if it is staying 7.5 degree for 10 minutes, then one more chiller will be added. So what we are actually getting from the soft load actually gives time to the first chiller to reach the set point temperature when the complete plant starts with warm water temperature. So that is actually added advantages there. But by doing this, what we are actually achieving, now you can see down. Soft loading actually prevents a peak in electrical consumption that would have happened if all chillers were starting at the same time. Like I used to I started my career in Emerson Network Power, where I used to take care of power business. Power business means, high level of UPS system I used to sell. So, who knows me, they know me, that I used to sell, like, we used to have a equipment called tong tester, With this tong tester and fluke meter, we used to actually measure the peak load. Peak load means what? When a DG is getting started, when a chiller is getting started, or any plant is getting started, it will be actually taking for some milliseconds, or it will be taking a huge load to start it on. So that is called peak load. When you are designing any UPS system, you actually have to get that peak load. Otherwise, if you want to switch on in UPS mode, then generally nobody actually starts chiller on UPS mode. It is for other systems. I'm just giving an example. So you have to know the peak load. Peak load is very important. So if all the chillers, just imagine all the chillers are actually starting at full load and at the same time, then how much actually, what we call in Bengali, I think everybody will be learning Bengali except my colleagues, like jhatka. You will get an electricity jhatka actually. So that is actually preventing by doing this soft load, by using this soft load configuration. So now, like I'm going to the unload at start. So this is also very important. So you should understand this also very carefully. So what is unload start? When another chiller need actually, first actually, your one chiller is running. Here I'm showing both of these are primary chillers. Okay. So one chiller is running now, it has understood that it has to actually add one more chiller. So what it will do? It will actually, first chiller will actually reduce its capacity to the minimum percentage of load. So first chiller will be maybe running at whatever is the minimum capacity, 15% or 20% as per the chiller manufacturer configuration. So it will reduce itself to that percentage of load. And then it will actually start another chiller. And after that, actually both chiller will be loaded gradually. And in this context, actually, I want to just mention that I know you all know, but then also I want to mention that every chiller is actually designed to run at minimum flow. So when the first chiller is working and it actually getting a signal from the controller or from the CPC that you have to actually, we are switching on another chiller, it actually will be reducing to the minimum percentage of load what it can operate. So maybe 15 to 20 degree, 15 to 20% actually load it will be having, and then it will be starting another chiller, and then gradually both will be loaded. When second chiller will be switching on, then like all the accessories behind this, like all the pumps will be switching on and everything will be switching on. Just imagine your first chiller, sorry, I will not show this. Your first chiller was running at 100% and you are running now switching on your second chiller and all the accessories. Then what will be the electricity bill? And if you are reducing this chiller to its minimum load, that is 15 to 20%, whatever is actually minimum load it can carry, you are reducing this for a fraction of second. Actually, this is like millisecond, in fact. So one, we call it like, I think it is like 180 to 360 seconds maximum 360 seconds actually. So it is reducing its load to minimum capacity, and then it is switching on the pump and other accessories. So then electricity consumption will be very, very less, at least as compared to like if we start the another chiller and other accessories when the first chiller is at full load. So what we are actually getting, we are actually avoiding electrical consumption peaks when we are starting at one new chiller. I think this is understandable by everybody, or I actually want you all to understand these 2 points, soft load and unload at start. Then I will go to another actually important parameter, which is like it should not actually, it should avoid the flow discontinuities. You know, chiller, if the flow discontinuities is happening, then that is a very serious condition. So what has happened? This is like, you know, I will be describing this another slide also, but I want to just touch base on this. So like, you know, if there is no flow at all, then what will be happening? There is a chance that your evaporator freezing can happen. Okay. So like variable, here I have shown that both are like primary pumps, right? So variable primary pumping flow system, if there is flow discontinuities is happening, then there is a chance that due to very, very low flow, the water may freeze at the evaporator coil. And you know, like if evaporator coil is getting freeze, then it will be damaged, or like you have to clean it completely, maintenance, and which will be actually causing major repair, major actually money loss, all these things. Like commercial expenditure is also very huge. So one more feature is that this CPC actually, this unload at start will be helping you to maintain that it will never be reaching to that point that flow will be discontinued from any chiller. Okay, so now like these are some more features actually which I wanted you all to understand. So it has definitely actually auto diagnosis feature is there. Auto diagnosis feature means it is like 95 automated diagnostics per chiller. Actually, you can see all these features are there. You can that can be monitored also in the screen or in the graphics. And 1 minute, yeah. So because of this auto diagnosis, what is happening? Suppose if you are getting any latching defect, okay, then what CPC will do? CPC will not actually switch off the complete system. CPC will only start another chiller, bypassing that particular chiller. So then your actually load is not getting at all affected. And in any particular chiller, if only one circuit is getting affected, it will bypass that particular circuit, and it will run. The chiller will be running with all other circuits. So all these kind of facilities are also there. In the CPC. And auto diagnosis actually, you know, helps you. It is very easy to understand that it will be helping the chiller plant control to keep the chilled water production running when minor default appears. It should not be like that some default has happened. you are getting that signal continuously in your graphics or in your like screen, in your interface, user interface, so that you can take action, but then your load side will not be hampered. System will be running completely fine. It will be automatically bypassing one chiller or maybe one circuit, whatever is needed, that will be bypassed, and system will be running full functionally, and your customer will not hampered actually. So what is actually we are getting here, that you can keep the comfort levels at the best for your building. So that is actually our main motto, right? Like customer should be always comfortable. And in this 95 automated diagnostic, I just want to mention few, like you can actually see discharge pressure, discharge temperature, then your oil temperature, then internal refrigerant level, how much it is, suction refrigerant temperature, discharge refrigerant temperature. These are like a few kind of things. Apart from that, there are many more actually. Per chiller, actually, you can see 95 parameters. So after this, like user interface. So you all know that it has to be very user friendly. Otherwise, like nobody is going to use this. If it is a very complicated system, people do not understand, and nobody will use. So that's why interfaces are one more thing I want to actually mention, that different level of user level you can actually set. Suppose you have 5 people, you are taking 5 licenses, okay, but then 5 licenses should not have equal kind of access level. Suppose one daily user, okay, he's a maintenance staff, you don't want to see all the parameters, so that can be set, how much he can set, how much he can see, how much he can access, and how much he will not be able to see, how much he will not be able to access. And a skilled maintenance person, definitely he has to see everything, or who is the facility head, he has to see everything. So all these levels also can be given along with the licenses, and that also can be set very easily. So this CPC interface is very easy. This is very much user friendly actually. Nowadays, if it is not user friendly, people won't use. People are very, actually, we can say, like we have very less patience nowadays. So this has to be very easy to understand. Clear and local language means, don't go by like we can give Bengali also. Local means like English, French, Spanish, Chinese, all this, Japanese, all this kind of language. So clear language. So for our country, it is English only. And then yes, we can do graphical and animated illustration, which will be able to help you to understand where if any problem has happened, then where the problem has happened, all these things. So I will show you all this live, graphics I will show you. So then intuitive selection also you can do. And then pre-engineered graphics and control interface means, suppose you want a graphic, pre-engineer means a customer wants graphics in a particular way. So that particular graphics also can be feed here. That also can be shown in the GUI software. So yes, so this is like auto diagram. I think this has again come. This slide has again come. Sorry. Yes. So now user interface. So this is like don't consider this stressor. This is actually a train controller name is stressor. So this is written over here. So this controller actually includes the user interface, helping the situation control. Helping the situation control means what? You are seeing this screen, right? If you can see, like if any problem is happening, you have understood now that CPC will not actually completely shut down your system. It will run bypassing the particular problematic portion. But then you are free to actually, there is a situation. So you are now free to you can actually arrange manpower to control that particular situation. So that means helping the situation control. And chiller status. Chiller status interface shows live information. So this is like live information you can see always, which will be actually sitting in a control room. You can see the complete status of the plant. So this is like, everybody can provide this thing. Then many kind of customization also can be done, like programming interface with full customization. As I told you, like customization not only can be done on the chiller sequencing level or swinging level, but also in the equipment level also. Like suppose any pump you want only like very minimum time to run, because that is a very old pump, or very new pump that is a higher efficiency. So that means you want it to run for the full time. So those kind of things can be done for all the equipment level, like pumps, valves, towers, actuators, all the level. That kind of customization can be done, whatever I spoke earlier also. reports and trending, yes, various kinds of reports we can be generated from here. And like this can be actually all the CPC has got this kind of facilities that reports can be actually generated various kinds of, and customized reports also can be generated from here. And Trend has a specific actually report structure that it, depending on the chiller type, actually the report structure is can be different also, or it can be same also. So screw, it may be something different. Scroll, like as per customer requirement, definitely again I'm saying. So this can be actually different from one chiller to another chiller. And trends, definitely trends also you can see, trends are available and can be actually easily using by like right click on the value of the value to archive. I mean, you can go to the archive and you can see how your system has functioned. If there was any particular fault in any particular period, suppose last 5 years trends you want to see, so you can see monsoon how it is working. So you'll be prepared like before monsoon comes. Summer, how it is working. Summer is very dangerous in eastern part of India, so summer how it works. Or like Delhi, summer is very difficult, so before summer you will be prepared completely. So trends will be helping you to understand like those kind of things. So now I'm going to the one very important thing that by using this actually chiller plant control, you can do condensing pressure optimization also. What is called the condensing pressure optimization? This is also a very, very important thing. So, the condenser, I know, I am sure that everybody understand the chiller basic, function. So I'll just say that, when refrigerant is passing through compressor actually, so the condensing pressure means the refrigerant pressure inside the chiller compressor. So the more you decrease this pressure, the less energy chiller will use. Okay. So what does actually, so I'll go back to the basic actually. So, for the ease of understanding, if anybody new comer is there. So what does compressor do? Compressor actually compresses the refrigerant into a high pressure gas form. So like if the pressure is less here, then actually, your energy will be saved. So the more you decrease the refrigerant pressure inside the compressor, the lesser energy your chiller will be using. So how it can be actually done? Then to get actually decrease the pressure, actually you have to reduce this pressure. To reduce this pressure, actually you have to condenser water temperature you have to lower down. So to lower down the condenser water temperature, what you have to do? You have to actually decrease the set point of the cooling tower, right? Because cooling tower is actually sitting on top of everything. So cooling tower set point you have decreased. That means actually the condenser, whatever the water temperature you are getting, that is getting lowered, and then the condenser water temperature will be reduced. And by doing this, you will be actually achieving this. So like your energy will be very, very less used. So this is called condensing pressure optimization, but you must be thinking that now my cooling tower actually is set point is decreased. That means my cooling tower will be actually using maximum energy now. Okay, but it is not exactly like that, because this CPC target is to find the optimal tower set point. Tower means cooling tower, optimal cooling tower set point, so that energy used by the chillers and the towers is the lowest possible. So it will actually set accordingly. It is not something like that you have decreased the set point at cooling tower, so cooling tower will be now working at full load or maybe like higher load, and then like you will be getting a very huge electricity bill. It is not like that, because you are reducing here also. Less energy chiller is using here because you are reducing the pressure. So actually it is a combination and mixture of both. So that, we will not be manually, it is never possible. But the chiller plant manager logic will be such that it will be actually targeting to find the optimal tower set point, so that like energy, whatever energy is getting used, that is actually optimal. And that is like, maximum efficiency also will be provided by chillers and towers, and the lowest possible energy also will be used by them. Hope I am clear as of now. So I'll be touching another topic here. Okay, so that means it is clear. Okay, so now like I'll be describing about different circuits. Actually, chiller plant control can actually use a different kind of circuits also. The like first one is primary secondary system. So what is primary secondary? You know, like there are primary pumps also, secondary pumps also, and there is a bypass line also. So what it will be doing actually, I will actually 1 minute. I think yes, this slide will be a better to understand. Decoupled variable flow. So what is that actually? So like by using this is a CPC. So we are putting like temperature set point here. Okay, this is the return water temperature. This is the supply water temperature. And this is my this is the line where I have put a flow meter. I mean, in the this is the bypass line actually. So there I have put a flow meter. So all the time I'm monitoring the flow. All the time I'm monitoring the temperature of return water and supply water. So what will be actually happening? If load is reduced, then we have to reduce secondary pump speed. And if there is that is, you know, the beauty of the secondary pump is that if you are reducing the speed by 20%, then energy saving will be 50%. So how? Like I will be making it more simpler. Suppose your occupancy level at the office has decreased. Okay. Now you do not need so much of chilled water. So what will be done now? Primary will always throw you 100%, but secondary now is throwing to the HU 50%. So where will another 50% go? There is a bypass line. So that will be going through this bypass line to the main line again. So excess water. Okay, so by doing this, actually, you are because secondary is throwing now 50%. So now, like you are getting actually lesser cooled or like whatever like cooling you want to maintain for lesser occupancy that you are getting. But the secondary pump now load has reduced, right? So when the speed has been reduced, load has been reduced. If it is reduced by 20%, actually the energy saving will be 50%. So that way, actually, you are saving your energy very much. And I will show you actually. Yeah, so this calculations is given here. You know what all decoupled variable flow, what all are there. So I have already told you that there is a flow meter has to be there, because all the time flow has to be monitored. There is a return temperature sensor, there is a supply temperature sensor. There are two-way valves are there, okay, in both the lines. Okay, so that is only has been told how you will be actually configuring this system. So there will be two-way valves will be there, and good design for all type of cooling process. This decoupled variable flow is a like primary, secondary, both you are using. This is a very stable design actually for all type of cooling process. And control based variable variation on the flow. You have understood that how the controlling is happening. Base solution for temperature accuracy. If it is getting increased, you are throwing more through secondary. If it is getting decreased, you are throwing less through secondary. Okay. And at the same time, actually, you are saving your energy also. And variable speed pump control from differential pressure in the secondary circuit, that I have already told, that you can actually control the speed of the secondary pump. And chillers and pump sequenced by bypass flow or water temperature. Yes, so like excess water that will be going through this bypass line again, but going back to the main lines. So this is like, I hope everybody has understood that. But the main point is what? Pump power varies with speed to the power 3. So you have reduced your speed to 20 by 20%. So just think that 20% to the power 3. So how it will be reduced? It will be more than even 50% actually. So it will be, this is just a calculations actually. So 20% will need about 50% of the pump power, nothing more. So by doing this, actually are saving a lot. Now next one is actually variable primary flow. So this is a complex system actually. So variable primary flow means there is no actually secondary system is there. Only primary you have. And when you have only primary, you have to be little more cautious. All the lines have to be monitored with flow meter. So here is a flow meter. Actually here I forgot to show, but there are also in these lines also flow meters are placed. There is like supply temperature sensor, return temperature sensor is definitely there. DPTs, these red are DPTs. So DPTs are also there. These are control valves. These are all two-way control valves. So this has to be actually, this is a very critical system, complex system. Controlling is difficult actually because all are primary. We don't have any secondary. If there is secondary, then it is easier to control. So in this case, primary pump only take care of complete system. complete system flow requirement. Okay, so these two pumps actually, primary, these two things are actually taking care of the complete flow. So load side actually, whatever increase is happening, that also has to be taken care by only primary. And if there is any load decrease is happening, that is also has to be taken care by only primary. So, in this case, actually, primary pump taking care of complete system flow requirement without compromising the minimum flow requirement of the chiller. I have told and made you understand that minimum flow requirement of the chiller has to be maintained, otherwise evaporator freezing will be happening. Okay, so these also can be actually, controlled by CPC, which is actually very difficult to control. Variable primary flow is very difficult to control manually. So CPC is a great help for controlling this kind of system, complex system also. So now this slide will be telling what all I actually told you like previous slide. So what is like variable, primary flow principles. So just as primary secondary system, you can read this actually. VPF respond to the load changes by modulating flow, but only difference is there. There is no secondary, only primary is there. In a VPF system, water flow varies throughout the entire system. That is also through the evaporator of each operating chiller as well as through cooling coils also. And system elements, I have shown you all the system elements, right? Two-way control valves on the coil side. So everywhere it is there. You can see on my previous slide, these are the two-way control valves. All the HUs are having this. Then check or isolation valves on the chillers. A bypass line with a control valve is required. And yes, as I said that this is a very critical and highly specialized system. This is very difficult to control manually. So CPC will be helping, actually, will be a great help actually to control this kind of complex systems also. Now, I think pump sequencing, I have told you that pump sequencing, and frequency variation also can be done by using this chiller plant control. And, now in my first slide, actually, I told like if you are not using CPC, then what options you have? You can put actually PLCs in the pump side because all the pump manufacturer now provides PLC. So you can take that and then you can integrate that with BMS. But then then you can only monitor. You cannot actually control or regulate anything. Okay. But if you use this CPC, then these PLCs are not required actually. So this CPC can actually do everything. You have now understood by now, I hope, that pump sequencing and frequency variations on the pump side also can be done by using this CPC. So these PLCs on the pump side will not be required. So you can save there also. So now on the summarizing, like now you can answer yourself. So plant load determination effectively. Can your building BMS do? No. Building BMS will not be able to do. Custom sequences on chiller. This is not possible because building BMS can only see or can only provide the data and can only switch on or switch off kind of thing it can do, but it cannot modulate or it cannot regulate anything. So all these features will not be possible by using building BMS. So that's why CPM is very, very, very necessary. So now, like these are some kind of things actually I want to say that, now like everybody is very tech savvy nowadays. So like, yes. So like this is a kind of app actually you can actually install in your Android or iPhone or whatever phone you have. You can actually, it has to be a smartphone actually. So then you can actually have this app-based kind of system. So facility manager is sitting at home also. He can manage, view, take action, all these things he can do actually. And facility manager, I told you the facility manager, depending on the level of superiority, we will be giving him all the access levels. So like all these things he can do sitting at a remote place also, or like sitting at home also. So this is like a typical like chiller dashboard. So this is taken from a live site only. So all the data actually can be seen in a very like synchronized manner in a single screen, which will be actually very, very effective to understand also, and it will be very easy to actually take action also, I hope I can go ahead now. So yes, this is all like graphical representation. This is like more clear picture actually. So it can provide actually all the parameters, and you can monitor all the parameters in a single screen. So this is like energy efficiency diagram. So this is also you can see like at what efficiency actually which equipment is running. Okay, chiller performance, how it is running, then chilled water pump efficiency is how it is, and then condenser pump, how it is. I mean, what is the efficiency and what level actually, how much loading is there. All these things you can see. Tower fan, how it is running, and what is the loading level, and overall efficiency how much. So all these things you can monitor. And then like how, see, this is the trending. I told you about trending, right? January, February, March. So like you can see this trending also. So this is very user friendly actually. As like your customer wants or consultant wants, it can be actually configured. That is not a problem. So this is a case study. So I mean, this is a live case study actually, which was happened actually. I think it was happened taken by Train Technology in southern region only. So one particular customer, I'm not taking the name of the customer actually. It was there, but I have deleted it. So there was actually 2 air cooled chiller and 2 water cooled chiller. Okay, so this is a good point. I think I will touch base upon this water cooled and air cooled chiller also for a minute. What is the difference between air cooled and water cooled chiller? So air cooled means the refrigerant will be running through a series of condenser coil. Okay, condenser coil banks actually with a vertical exhaust fans, and fans will be drawing air through coil, transferring the heat from the refrigerant to the atmosphere. That means what? You are actually, very simple language, you are using air to cool down your refrigerant. Okay, and in actually water, so you are using chilled water, so to cool down your refrigerant temperature. So that is a basic difference. Okay, but there, air cooled water cooled chiller is always efficiency is more. Why? Because air cooled chiller cannot be used are used in partial load condition, but that will never be able to meet the minimum tonnage requirement of a water cooled chiller. So why so? Because water has a greater BTU capacity, right? Water has a greater BTU capacity than air, and transfer rate also is higher than air. So because of this, you can transfer more heat out of the building by using water cooled chiller than that of using a air cooled chiller. This is the definitely technical point. Now we all have to think about the commercial point of view also. So if you are using air cooled chiller, so per ton your electricity bill will be coming 0.9 to 1 kilowatt maybe, or 1 kilowatt per tier, or maximum it can go up to 1.4 kilowatt per tier also. But if you are using at the same place water cooled chiller, then it is 0.45 kilowatt per tier to 0.6 to 0.7 maximum kilowatt per tier it can go. So that way you are saving actually electricity bills also. So that's why, but then the water cooled chiller also has its own problem, like whether you are getting good quality water, and water is a problem nowadays, right? So all these problems are there. But anyway, water cooled chiller are always, just remember that water cooled chiller are efficient, more efficient than that of air cooled chiller. And electricity bill will be lesser in case of water cooled chiller than that of air cooled chiller. So this is the case study. Now coming back to the case study, you have 2 water cooled, 2 air cooled, you have 5 primary, 4 secondary, whatever, you can read this actually, 3 condenser pump, 2 cooling towers. And evaluation is what we have done, that chiller plant recording noted for 5 days with CPM and without manual 5 days with CPM and 5 days with manual operation. So what is the result? With CPM operation, actually we have got this much kilowatt of units saved in 5 days only. So capital cost was 20.5 lakhs. So I'll show you, it is ROI calculated 1.9 years. So if you are putting a CPC, chiller plant configuration, you are going to get this ROI is that is calculated, that is 1.9 years. Okay, so details are in this slide. You can actually see this slide. I'll just describe. So this is Monday to Friday, 1 week I told, right? This is with CPM. So you can read this kilowatt hours. So ton hours running is always same. It has always run every day. It has run for 4760 hours. Okay, ton hours, sorry, 4760 ton hours. So reading you can say, and the kilowatt hour. Now you can say this where from you are actually saving. So 5612, this is, so with CPM actually you have got 33.246 kilowatt hour, and without CPM it is 36.166 kilowatt hour. Okay, So now the difference for 5 days 2919, you have to subtract this from this 2919. So unit saved for 20 days, 22 days. Why it is? Because 8 days are holidays. Weekends we have not included. So this 2919 multiplied by 22. So this is coming this much of kilowatt hour. And unit rate we have considered 7 rupees per unit. So this is the thing. And capital cost means monthly actually. So like how much, yearly. Capital cost means yearly. So in how many months actually you are going to get back it? 22.8 months. That means 1.9 years. So if you are putting chiller plant manager, so the definitely your manager may ask, or senior people may ask what will be the ROI. So you can actually do this kind of calculations and you can show it. So that's all from my side, guys. So if you have any questions, I have HVAC solvers with me, Jilani Pasha, Dhruv Joshi, and Lalit Khajuria. So they can also help me to answer. If it is very difficult, I will not be able to answer. And definitely, I will also try to answer. So now it's for all of you. Questions?
Thank you, madam. It's a very informative webinar.
Siddharth, your voice is coming very low to me. I'm not sure whether everybody can hear you.
I request everybody to have a questions. There is a question from Dhupajyoti Guho.
Okay.
Yes, hello.
Hello.
Yes.
You can unmute. Yes.
I want to know what is the basic difference between chiller sequencing and chiller plant manager.
Okay, so Jilani, you can answer this question, or Dhruv, you want to, whoever you want to, because I have spoken too much. So now it's all yours, or Lalit, whoever wants to answer, you in three of you can answer.
Yeah, Lalit, you want to go for this?
I'll just take a 1 minute break for water.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can.
Your question is that how this sequencer, chiller plant sequencer is different than the chiller plant manager or chiller plant.
Right. And is it compatible for all other chiller manufacturers?
Yes, sir. I'll give answer for that that question also. First of all, I'll let you know, sir. Our chiller plant manager software, which we normally call as a CPC also, CPM or CPC also, basically.
What is the full form?
Chiller plant manager or chiller plant control.
Okay.
We can call anything, because if we call chiller plant manager, it gives you a signal in your mind or everybody's mind that it can handle or it can manage the plant, right? So chiller plant control is also same, and it's a one of the feature or one of the feature of our train BMS, which we basically enable when customer gives a requirement to train for CPM. Okay, and wherever we don't have BMS, there we if customer asks just for CPM, then we install CPM software.
Right. That is on my point only.
I've covered that point. Second, CPM, our CPM is having a many features. Even some of the feature we don't use or customer don't need at their side, and it varies from some of the features are like that. If there may be no necessity for some of the customer, and some of the customer when they come with their query, and we just enable that feature for which is basically required for their system as per the customization. Second things are sequencing is just a single feature by which we can sequence the chiller, right? Or we can we can do the sequencing of the chiller. But suppose you have 4 chiller in a building, and who will decide, or sequencer will decide that how the chiller will run, which chiller will be having the first or the first preference on today or tomorrow or day after tomorrow. So
Yeah.
CPM does that function.
It goes that based on the lowest run hours.
Right. We have as I said, that it has a multiple feature. One of the query somebody was asking that that how it will run based on hours, based on date or something like that. We have a radio button and drop down menus. By using that, any user, any operator, suppose this HVAC person who's an operator intelligence only, and he just want to run the plant or rotate the plant or rotate the chillers or sequence the chillers based on day. So he can set a day and time when he want to change the rotation, or he can choose the running hour option also. So he need to just enter the hours, number of hours, or if he want to change the sequencing on particular day, that also we can there's an option over there. There is no need to call a train engineer or any programmer to do the changes in the programming done at the site. So these are the radio button pre-programmed algorithms are written at the back end, and these algorithms are written by our train engineers sitting in La Crosse, where the chillers are being manufactured, and they keep on making the changes or removing the bugs from the system and sending the update to our engineer. And our engineers, their primary work is at site. When they are at site, they just need to enter the information of the chiller, like which chiller is it? It's a water cooled, air cooled. If it is air cooled, which chiller? It's a centrifugal screw or tonnage, which what tonnage? Tonnage and minimum flow, maximum flow, and then temperature input they need to bind over there. Then yes, programming part they does for the pump rotation and for the cooling tower rotation, which is customizable again as per the customer requirement, as per the consultant requirement at the site. They do that programming part, and for that also we are giving small radio buttons and small to change the set point. We are giving the.
No, it's okay. It's okay. But my point is, can we control the cooling tower valves through this plant manager also?
Yes, sir. Complete plant.
Yeah.
Small item you speak. We are controlling all the chiller valves. We are controlling all the chillers. We are controlling all pumps. We are controlling
valves also.
Sorry, sir.
Even HU two-way motorized valves also.
Exactly. Yes, sir. It is expandable system. As I said in the beginning, that we have a BMS system, and chiller plant is a small.
No. I don't club with BMS. I am telling independent plant manager can control the HUs.
Yes, we can, but we need to add controllers. We need to add a DDC controller, because to control HU we need a IO point. So IO point we need a controllers and sensors, because to control HU
more or less you are going for BMS only.
Sir, sorry to interrupt, Lalit. Sir, considering your sequencer and the CPM, the major difference is your chiller plant manager comes with the artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence is built into that, so that it will run the complete plant in such a synchronized manner, so that you will achieve a maximum energy efficiency. The goal of chiller plant manager is achieving the maximum efficiency IKW per TR for complete plant, not only chillers. Your chillers, pumps, cooling towers, everything put together, it will try to run all the equipments in such a sequence or such a combination, so that the output of the complete plant is the best. So that is the difference between your sequencer and your chiller plant manager.
Okay. No, now the main thing is it is compatible for all the makes like Carrier, Voltas, Bluestar.
I will tell you this one, sir. This is definitely compatible for all the chillers, all the manufacturers, whoever gives their chiller output in open protocol, either in Modbus or BACnet or LawnWorks, it is compatible. Only some of the features are there. Like one feature I will explain you here. For example, you have some VFD chillers and non-VFD chillers.
Right.
Train chillers, for example.
Right.
So VFD chillers may be more efficient at 60% of the load, and non-VFD chillers will be efficient at 100% of the load. So we have the feature where we can lock the VFD chillers to run only at 60% of the load unless there is a complete peak demand of your system. So it will run only at 60% of the load unless the system demands for the complete plant load capacity. So that kind of features and everything can be easily able to do it with train chillers with train CPM. But nevertheless, all the other manufacturers chillers can also be integrated with train chiller plant manager.
Yes, since we have used this chiller sequencing, it is more user friendly for any company make chillers.
Yes, yes. It is same, sir. It is same, sir.
And
Actually,
another thing, I have one small question. Can we control the VFD HU VFD through this plant manager?
sir, I will tell you. Just you are like when you go out of, as Debashri mentioned in her slides, there is we classify our system HVAC system into the low side and high side. So
Okay.
whatever is there up to the above pumps, it is high side. Below pumps, it is low side. So chiller plant manager is basically more concentrating on your high side equipments, which are chillers, pumps, and cooling towers. So whereas on the low side, you will be having your AHUs with VFDs and VAV systems and everything.
Right.
So nevertheless, we can always integrate the low side part also with the CPM. For example, you are having only some 2 chillers with some 5 AHUs and related VFDs and some VAVs, etc. So, but just by extending, as Lalit told, by just putting some DDC controllers for those equipments, we can always put it into the chiller plant manager and it will give you a comprehensive solution. So you need not to go for a separate BMS system only for that AHU control or VAV control.
No, if we go for a VMS, so we can control everything, each and everything. Entire plant also, even cooling tower, HU, VFD speed, everything.
Yeah,
As
yeah.
we have
No,
done
no.
earlier also.
No, 1 minute, 1 minute. So actually that's what I was describing in my presentation. That slide was open here. So you can actually answer this thing. Building BMS can monitor this. BMS is having only capacity to monitor this or switch on or switch off the pump side. Nothing else it can do. It cannot modulate, it cannot
Sorry,
sequence.
madam, we have done only.
Yeah. Debashri, it depends upon the person who is commissioning. If he is such
Even
a
I can mention I can mention the buildings also.
correct. Sir, you are very much right, but it depends upon the particular person who is commissioning the system. But if you go into the market and for the people who is having the commissioning or the people who are commissioning the systems, so it depends upon their knowledge. So
That
how
is the main thing I want to tell, that madam told in the initially starting with why this program was started, the
Yeah.
BMS cannot control pumps.
Yeah. So we are putting this question mark because we want to ask, see, a BMS engineer who is going to commission the system, what capabilities he is having. If he is expert in complete HVAC system, yes, he will be able to do. But if, as we seen, as per our experience in the market, if the people like electrical background or whoever goes for the commissioning who don't have the knowledge, complete knowledge on the HVAC system, they can make many errors. So that ultimately it leads to the more energy consumption. So energy efficiency gets reduced, and it depends upon the particular person who is commissioning the system. So we
So
are
one more thing also, Jilani, one more thing also. Like I just want to ask one question actually, Mr. Devajyoti, that BMS is building BMS is taking data from where? So that means you have given some kind of control or like some kind of automation system to your plants and cooling tower and chillers also.
Automation means?
I mean, where from BMS is getting the data? So it is getting from through potential free contacts, or how it is getting the data from the.
For controlling the HU speed, it is getting from the VFD, and it is taking data from the duct pressure sensor.
So yes, so can you actually monitor everything, whatever I told in my presentation? Because I have worked.
Yes, we can monitor also. We can we are giving the graphics also, graphs. How
That
pressure is
graphs
getting.
can be done. Yes, that is I'm telling that it can be monitored and it can be actually pump switch on, switch off, and like monitoring. This can be
No,
done.
we are controlling the VFD speed also.
Which were
Back
okay,
from-
anyway, I will
Mr.
actually
Devajyoti, I'd like to interrupt once.
afterwards because I have actually
No,
worked in.
I'm telling you, I am showing you from
7,
getting the
8
feedback
years.
from pressure transducer, we are controlling the VFD speed.
Yes, and
No,
then how you will be.
Devashri, I got Mr. Devajyoti's point. See, what he want to mention is, see, with BMS also, he is mentioning that he will be able to do it. But what we are proposing the system is, when the system comes with the built-in logics, which is done by the manufacturer as per the HVAC logics and as per the HVAC applications, So it will be easier for anybody to commission and for any customer to get the benefit out of it.
No, that is true. I'm not. I know. I am agree with you. But I'm telling through BMS, I can control everything also. That is the main.
Yeah, sir, if you are capable to write such a kind of complex logics, definitely you can do it.
I can mention some buildings that like reputed building like South City Mall, Fortis Hospital, Novotel Hotel. Those we have done.
Yeah, sir. I saw that in your comment box also, sir. You
Yeah.
mentioned those.
Anyway, we have very good discussion today,
Yeah.
and it is a very interesting also. Thank you very much.
Great, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
There is another question from Mr. Judhajit Chakraborty. Mr. Judhajit Chakraborty, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, where is that, Jurajit? In your chat box, or you are going to ask?
No, Debashree, I think my question is in the chat box.
Okay.
Yeah.
This one, right? So Jilani, you can answer this. Does the CPM can optimize the system as per reset chilled water set point and maximize chilled water delta T?
Does this
Yes, I explain, I think, this thing. Jilani, you can explain one more time.
Yeah, Mr. Chakraborty, yes, we can, it actually with that artificial intelligence, whatever is built into the system, means chiller plant manager. So it does this option function. So based on this only, we are proposing there are so much of energy savings available in the system. So even there is a feature that based on the ambient temperatures for the condenser pressure optimization, what Debashree explained, even for with the taking the input from the ambient temperature sensor and RH sensor, it regulates the set point of the condenser inlet, and it puts the chill water reset as well as the condenser inlet reset. So with those applications, it gives a maximum energy efficiency. Did I answer your question, Mr. Chakraborty?
Yeah, Mr. Zilani. I was just curious that whether this the logic is already inbuilt in the system, or you do a local logic, for the CPM.
No. Yeah, it is inbuilt logic, Mr. Chakraborty. See, that's what we see. See, almost it was introduced in the 90s. That from there onwards, there was a continuous developments, and there was continuous patches and upgrades available in the chiller plant manager, and all the features whatever Debashree discussed or whatever I told, everything comes as a pre-programmed solution in our controller, master controller. So for the commissioning engineer, it's just enabling that thing and putting the customer customized set points, and system is ready to operate without any errors. So even the manual errors are eliminated in our system.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, sir, I'll just add in, as Jilani has already pointed out, all these are pre-programmed patented logics, and the best part is it saves your commissioning time. As sir was already saying that pump can be controlled through BMS, so that logic writing and trial and hit and trial method which they will be doing at site for commissioning activities, that can take a lot of time, and your manpower cost and all these can be reduced. So these are tried and tested patented logics which, as Jilani has pointed out repeatedly, they are being improved upon each year.
So Jurajit, if you have any more question, you can always call me and ask me. My number has not changed.
Yeah.
You can always call me.
Sure. Debashree. Fine, thanks.
Sure.
Madam, thank you, Mr. Chakraborty.
I think there is one more question in the chat box. Can we get presentation? This is actually you cannot get because this is Trane Technologies' own presentation. So definitely I can, or like anybody in my team can run the presentation again, but cannot share.
Okay, madam.
Or maybe we can share, Jilani, in the PDF format that we have
Ma'am,
to check.
we have a different slide which it is a PDF document of around 9 to 10 pages which has major features. I think Jilani can share it to you and pass it on to.
So you can actually share your mail ID, Mr. Ong too. So then in the mail ID we can share that PDF slides.
Yeah, ma'am, that is fine.
Who kindly note down this his mail ID, please.
Sure, ma'am, we'll write it down.
Sir, just one point I want to emphasize here. See, in today's world, we are more optimistic on the energy consumption because carbon footprints, what we are measuring, and even train commitments to 2030, some great commitments our CEO was also making. So these are the things like chiller plant manager for the customers. These are the things which gives uh, opportunity for the customers to save energy. So where we are focusing for our future generations to save the renewable energy, and electricity is most important. It is getting, we are generating that from the renewable energy most of the places. So I feel that when we have this kind of product, and also where we have the ROI, such a beautiful ROIs available. So if customer goes for this, it definitely they not only contributes to their own savings, but also to the environment. So that is my comment on this.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr.
Yeah, sir,
Bashar.
before we sign off, I'll just like to add that there were some questions regarding CPM getting expanded to BMS and whatnot. So just it's a for train purpose, I can say our CPM uses the same technology and controllers which we use for our BMS. So this is an added advantage for us. Like as Lalit sir already said, that more IO points means more controllers, and they are all expandable. The basic software is also common, so we just have to improve it to the BMS one, and that is easily upgradable to BMS. So that's a USP of train CPM and BMS. They use common software and controllers.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Joshi.
We need not to have a multiple operators or multiple operating stations in a single software or single user interface. We can have a BMS as well as a CPM. Second thing, cooling tower automation topic, I think we didn't touch. We have a complete solution for those also. We can do the complete cooling tower optimization also under this CPM only.
Yes, sir. In East also, we are having a good amount of CPM installation, and very soon we will be commissioning the Kolkata Metro projects as well. We are having 5 stations wherein we'll be doing this CPM, comprehensive CPM. And we've already done this in Jaipur Metro, Lucknow Metro, and majorly Delhi Metro. So we have a very, very good installation base and upcoming base in Eastern region, especially Kolkata as well.
We have at the moment 35 underground metro stations in North India, which we have done with the train chillers. We have installed train CPM over there, and all the chillers are running through CPM only.
Now, conclude this webinar. I like to introduce Mr. Shubham Boni, our youth chair and zonal chapter manager of District Kolkata chapter. Mr. Boni.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Siddhartha, for giving this opportunity. It's an absolute honor to deliver the vote of thanks for such an event. At the very outset, let me thank Debashri ma'am for educating us today. It was an extremely informative session, and we had great discussions during this session. We look forward to more such sessions in the future from you, and we definitely like to have a product presentation with you with Train Technologies in the future, where you can showcase of all your products, and we'll be arranging greater audience for you. We can discuss it offline, and we look forward to such sessions. Secondly, I'd like to thank our partners, ALP Aeroflex, Compromised Group of Companies, Lloyd Insulation, and Universal Sales for patronizing us. Next, I thank Mr. Amitabh Datta, Programs Chair of ISRE Kolkata chapter, for leading the team, and also Mr. Siddhartha Majumdar for helping us in organizing the event. And last but not the least, I thank all the participants of this technical presentation who joined us, and we'll be sharing the certificates to all our ISRE members. And also we request our non-members who have joined us to take the membership and and not miss out the membership opportunities which we are enjoying. A lot of us are enjoying. So with this, I'd like to thank once again to all of you who have joined us this evening. And with this, I think we can conclude the session. Mr. Siddhartha, we can, I think, conclude the session.
Thank you.
Thank you once again, ma'am, and the entire team of training.
Thank you, sir, for this opportunity.
Thanks everybody.
Thank you.